The night the elves came. Once upon a time, there lived a shoemaker. He lived in a cottage at the end of a village. His shoes were not well made, and so nobody bought them. He became very poor, and his wife was unhappy. I now have only enough leather left to make one pair of shoes. I will leave the leather pieces on the table and complete it the next day. Next morning, the shoemaker went down to his stable. He couldn't believe his eyes. There's a fine pair of shoes on the table. How is this even possible? This is a wonderful surprise indeed. The shoes were so beautiful and well made that a rich man who was passing by saw them and paid double the usual price for it. The shoemaker was very happy. I've bought enough leather to make 2 pairs of shoes. I've cut it now and I will stitch the shoes tomorrow. He felt very tired and went to bed. Next morning, he came down rubbing his sleepy eyes and yawning. He couldn't believe his eyes. The magic has happened again. There are 2 fine pairs of shoes on the table. Tell me honestly, have you been working at night when I was sleeping? No, I've no idea how these pairs of shoes were made. These pairs of shoes were sold quickly. The shoemaker and his wife were very happy now. This happened night after night. Soon the shoemaker was quite rich and happy. One night, the shoemaker and his wife hid behind the curtains to find out who was making the shoes. Around midnight, 2 little elves came creeping in quietly. The little elves worked hard all night, stitching, hammering, and making the shoes. As the dawn came, they flew out of the window, singing merrily. Now we know who has been stitching the shoes for us. Have you noticed that they are wearing tattered clothes and are shivering in the cold? I want to thank them for all they have done for us and will make little shoes for them. Yes, we should. I will make little clothes for them. They set to work and made 2 neat pairs of clothes and shoes for the elves. The wife folded the clothes neatly and left them on the table. That night, the elves came creeping silently into the room. But there was no leather on the table, but a pile of clothing and little shoes, just the right size for them. The elves were overjoyed. They wore their clothes and danced and sang on the table in delight. The elves flew out of the window, never to be seen again. As for the shoemaker and his wife, they had learned to make fine pairs of shoes and could now live in comfort. They lived happily ever after.